I'm David Smith, and I'm here to introduce you to the 70th annual Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. And the theme this year is green stones. And that's all kinds of green stones because it's the 70th anniversary. Coincidentally, it's the 60th anniversary of the Ultratech Manufacturing Company, makers of the finest faceting machine available today. We're going to go and visit the booth and talk a little bit about the history of the company, the machine, and come on, let's go check it out. This is the Ultratech booth right here. So on the right here we have Scott Suker, pretty well known. He was on the Discovery Channel talking about the history of diamonds. He also presented at our faceting symposium just last week about the history of diamond cutting. It was a great presentation, and he's a great guy. Ex-military, we call him the Major. That's, well, he's squatted down. There's Scott's wife, Karen. There's Karen, because Scott is squatted down working there.
He's down there.
But here's the glass work that Scott does. He facets, cuts, and glues stuff together, and he's just always doing something crazy. And frequently he'll be working on this machine right here, which he actually pioneered the development of in conjunction with Ultratech. It's a GLASS TEC, it's a 12-inch lap, it's a massive mast, it's actually motorized, look at that. It'll go up and down at the touch of a switch. It's an amazing machine. So come on, let's check out the next one here. Now usually Mark Oros is standing right here, but he's downstairs tending to his massive collection of cut crystals. And we'll do an interview with him in a little bit that you're not going to want to miss. And he's cut them all on the GLASS TEC and the V5. I think he has every Ultratech piece of equipment ever made. He's a wild man. Upstate New York. Here we have Ron Snelling. He's based in Denver, Colorado. And he's standing in front of the VL, which we like to call our entry-level machine. Has the hard plastic splash pan and a cylindrical mast as opposed to the square mast on our flagship, the V5. And then down here, a machine that is just gaining popularity every minute, the fantasy machine, sometimes called concave cutting. I've been doing business in Germany for decades, and it was always called reverse cutting because you're generally cutting on the reverse side of the stone. But Dr. Facet is absolutely fantastic at doing this stuff. And not only that, he is the author of the book that is included with every faceting machine that is sent out from Ultratech. And let's take a look at some of what he does. And for your convenience and our old eyes, he's added photographs of the stones so that you can really see the detail a little better. Like this red stone here is right here. So you can see it in real life. It's absolutely amazing. In a blown up photograph, you can see a little more of the cutting detail and the work that Tom Ross, who we call Dr. Facet, did. So we're just welcoming you to the 70th annual Tucson Gem and Mineral Society show. It is the show that started it all. It's called the Main Event. And 70 years ago, a group of business owners got together and formed a show. And it was only in the next year that the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society actually took it over. So 70 years of bringing you the finest gem and mineral equipment and mineral specimens and talks. Mark Oros, one of our guys, is doing a talk downstairs. So here we have a little magazine. If you see this out at the show, then you can see all our training venues all over the world, places that you can go get your hands on an Ultratech, take a class, and learn more about it. So if you're out and about at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, we are located in the ballroom. That's upstairs, not that low, big floor. And we're just to the left of the entrance, and let's see, we are 75, 76, 77, so lucky numbers for all of us. Come join us at Ultratech. I'm David Smith, and I'd love to see you. Good morning. It is the last day of the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society 70th anniversary, and I'd like you to introduce you to the Ultratech squad. Let's start right there. Here he comes, Scott Suker, the Major. He loves the GLASS TEC. I don't know why, he'll explain it later. Now, here we have Ron Snelling, the Denver Kid. He loves the VL. I also don't know why, but he'll explain to it later. Thank you. All right. Now here comes Mark Oros of GEMS. He loves the V5, and I do understand why, but he'll help us understand it better later. Here comes Dr. Facet, Tom Ross. He loves the fantasy machine, and it's obvious when you see his work why. And next, who do we have? The chief engineer of Ultratech, Robert Mendoza. This is the guy that answers your questions and solves your problems. So let's go in, dive in deep with each one of the members of the Ultratech squad here in Tucson, and we'll find out why they like that individual machine. Hold on, here it comes. All right, here we are with Scott Zucker, the major squad member here at Ultratech. He loves the GLASS TEC. So in 30 seconds, let's hear it.
The GLASS TEC has all the accuracy, reproducibility, and precision of the V5 and the VL, but it's a monster. And it's what I use to create this particular piece of glass. The largest piece I've ever faceted on it weighed 9 pounds, and it was 6 inches across. So you can certainly handle the larger items on it, but it's absolutely great. I love the stability of the mass, the stability of the machine, and it's just a wonderful piece of equipment to use.
Great summary, awesome. Scott Zucker, the major, boom, the GLASS TEC. Here we are with my friend Ron Snelling, the Denver kid, Ultratech squad member. Now you prefer the VL.
I do.
Tell us about that, why?
So this is the newest machine that Ultratech came out with about 4 years ago, and I find it is just as precise as the V5. The one thing that I like about this the most is I've taught myself to run it just a little bit quicker than the other machines. So that is why this is my preference.
Very good. Now Ron also started a school teaching faceting, so if you're in the Denver area, hit him up. He can get you trained and get you whatever Ultratech machinery that you require. All right, here we are with Mark Oros, GEMS, another Ultratech squad member. He loves the V5. Let's hear why.
I really like the V5. It's my favorite in the fleet of the Ultratech machines. I love the mass, the ability to move it up and down smoothly. Of course, the accuracy and repeatability, which you find in all the Ultratech machines. I'd like to invite you to come back here next year and visit us so I can tell you more about this fabulous machine. We're going to be here at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, second week of February. And I'd love you to come here, talk to me. I'd like to talk to you about this machine and why it's the best one, talk to you about teaching and everything that's fabulous about Ultratech. Thank you.
Come visit the squad, second week of February 2026. All right, here is our brother Tom Ross, Dr. Facet, another Ultratech squad member here in Tucson, and he is the doctor of the fantasy machine. So let's just hear it, a quick rundown of why you love this machine.
It is an absolute joy to use the Ultratech fantasy machine. I use mine at home with the Ultratech V5 mast and head. I love doing the V-groove cuts these days. I like to set it up with the hard stop, and I like to feed the stone with the hand crank across the V-groove cutter. I believe it gives a steadier, smoother cut overall. What I especially like about the V5 head on the fantasy machine is the digital angle display to 1/100th of a degree, very precise. I set mine up with this optional DH lateral stop with the micrometer adjustment for precise placement of the V grooves. Don't touch it.
Oh, no, I'm not.
I have it set exactly where I want it.
Yep.
It allows me to repeat with extreme precision where I place each of these V groove cuts. I'm able to move the stone back and forth across the cutter and achieve perfection in my fantasy cuts.
That is so awesome.
Why do you want to put a V groove on a stone? It allows you to do things like my spirographic blossom, which has won first place at the Tucson Symposium 2 years running.
And I was there both times, yeah.
I've got the red stone on the center turntable that shows the spirograph you can put in the bottom of stones with the Ultratech Fantasy V-Groove cutting.
That's awesome.
I love to set it up also with the concave cutter. We rotate the motor, put the cylindrical cutter in,
Right.
and it allows us to cut curved facets on the stones.
Yep, that is so awesome. Well,
It's
thank
all
you.
a joy to use. The precision is awesome. You can't do better than UltraTech. I'm Dr. Fassett, Des Moines, Iowa.
Thank you very much. Another member of the squad. I don't know about you, but one of the things I love in life, well, other than food and faceting, I love to facet, I really like to travel. So imagine being able to combine all three of those. Travel to exotic lands, take your faceting machine, and eat great food. So let's go see how we're going to accomplish that. What we have inside this case is a V5, the flagship of the UltraTech line. So let's open it up and take a look. By the way, this is already on the UltraTech website, and you can actually order your machine to be shipped in the case. That way you don't have to deal with cardboard boxes and all that nonsense. So we pop these babies open. It does have wheels, has 4 wheels on the end, and everything is extremely heavy duty, so it's not going to wear out before you do. So let's open it up and take a look what's in here. We have the manual. We've got the large fancy transfer fixture, and that's an upgrade to the V5. We have the mast, the DOPS, the alignment block, the alignment tool. Let's see what's in here. Oh, 2 little screws if you don't like the knob on the side of the quill, table adapter, and wrenches. Then here we have the power supply, Le Sponge, drip tan, and this is really nice that this is held perfectly circular and it'll maintain that shape. Pop this upper layer out, and here we have the base, your laps, your water system, and as you can see, there's several little spots, and then if you wanted to create a spot, if you wanted to carry extra items, or even your rough stones to cut. So this is a huge leap forward for us as UltraTech customers to be able to travel with a very, very secure case.
Hi, I'd like to know the difference between the VL edition and the V5 edition, if you can explain that, please.
Absolutely. So the VL actually came out with the company about 4 years ago, and it really has to do with how I set it up. So what I normally do is I will set my angle right here, and then I will slide this down, and I will hover it just above the stone. Then what I will do is I will make the adjustment here with a micrometer barrel, and I will barely touch the stone. And then I will begin to cut that way there as well. Some of the other differences that we have is this angle stop and how it locks into place. So this loosens it. I will set my angle, and then I will lock it into place. The precision on this machine is the same as the V5. I actually like it a little bit more because it actually locks this and keeps it from moving past that.
Which is a bonus, you don't want it to move on.
Yes, the other thing that I really like is this little dampening knob right here. So I can set this here. Number one, it does 2 things. It prevents it from slamming down into place. And number 2, I can bring it up here for inspection and for presentation.
Because you want to kiss the stone and then apply pressure.
Correct. I don't even have to apply pressure sometimes, just by making the micrometer adjustments. The other difference on here is we have this hard pan versus a soft pan on the other one, and then I have a door that can open and close. The other thing I like about it is the opening is actually bigger on this, and it's a little bit easier to reset when I have to take it out and clean.
Because they usually have the rubber.
Correct. So,
Makes sense.
so that's the other parts.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty much it, but this is my favorite machine. People ask me why, and I tell them because I can run this mast a little bit faster.
Well, and this, honestly, is something, looking at machines for months, years even, has been something I've wondered about getting it out of the way. I know you guys have the little knob that you turn
Yes.
to hold it, but that seems ultimately just
Absolutely. So what I do is I always keep my right hand here, and then I'm able to run my left hand and run the micrometer this way to get what I want.
Are you primarily right-handed?
Yes.
Okay, because
So right hand, left hand. And that's it.
David Smith back with you, and now I'm going to present you with this amazing gemstone artist called Mark Oros of Hash New Gems. Let's go check out him and what he does. Come on.
Hello, David.
Mark, good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
This is Mark Oros of Hash New Gems, and he is absolutely one of my mentors. I don't ever think I'll get to where he is, but I'd like to, can you step in? We don't want to look at this guy, we want to look at what he does. So Mark has been cutting for a long time. He famously has every device that Ultratech makes. He's like a wizard, I would say. He's got a little bit of a wizard energy about him with what he does with gemstones and the results that he gets. And if you could come in here for a second, we could start talking to him about some of these gems. You know, you can see that there's a number of quartzes, like a theme. There's quartz and citrine and amethyst, and the cuts that he does. You know, he designs his own cuts. He finds this like big, amazing, clear quartz. So let's start out with, you know, you can see here he's going to be doing the lecture, a 1-year quartz challenge. He's been on like a quartz kick, which some people complain about, but you seem to have no trouble with polishing. So first of all, just what's the quartz? What's the idea?
The idea behind here was to try to get more scintillation out of quartz, to make larger gemstones that would give me a larger canvas so I could do more intricate designs. And I have a fantasy machine by Ultratech, and I've been using that to actually cut into the back of those gemstones, give me fantasy cuts, and produce designs and produce scintillation into these quartz.
The scintillation is basically the amount of flash. I mean,
Yep, and also dispersion. I've been getting a lot more dispersion out of them, and that is the different colors coming out of the gemstone.
So what he's talking about is the light performance. So how much light's going in, and then how much is coming when cut correctly.
We can get about 80% of the light that goes into the gemstone, we can get to come out. That's where the magic happens.
So let's go into, you know, some of these. I want to start at the top with this, I'm not quite sure what to call it. I mean, it's a ball, but it's a bit geodesic.
Yeah, it's called Trillion Stars, and I wanted to do a sphere that was a little different, and that's a really beautiful piece of natural citrine that I got from Africa, and we cut it and polished it, and it is more geometric, as you said. And what we did do with that is we did outline frosted the apexes of the facets, and that was done with the Ultratech V5 machine. And we polished it, and then we went back in and got the apexes of those just slightly frosted, and the machine then delineates and makes those facets pop out and just be very much.
It looks very futuristic.
Thank you.
Your style is, to me, a little bit Star Trek futuristic, you know, very, very modern. And then it looks like you might have done the same thing on this citrine.
Yes, on that citrine, that's a citrine that was, that design was by Jim Perkins, one of my favorite designs. That is used as a 72 index. Normally use a 96 index. 72 index is very nice because you get odds and evens, 9s and 18s on top of each other. Makes for very nice scintillation. Again, we did put those frosts on. And the nice thing about the Ultratech V5 is you can buy a series of different indexes so you can get different symmetries.
And the index is the wheel that we're doing all the numbers around the circle, yeah?
Correct.
That's really awesome. Now let's go down here to this amethyst, and this is it says Cleopatra's Eye. Is that just the standard, or did you go a little bit beyond?
So that's Bob Keller's design for Cleopatra's Eye, one of my favorite gemstone designs to cut. And again, we used the Ultratech Fantasy machine to put in cuts into the back, and we also free rotate it in there and put circles in it, and it was a lot of fun, and I think it gave it some real depth to the gemstone.
And again, really modern
Thank you.
to my eye. And then the circles, did you do that with like the rotator adapter, or what was your function?
Yes, so Ultratech has recently come out with a rotator tool, and that allows, if you lock out the index, that allows the spindle to spin, and I can get very nice circles, very, very precise circles put into the bottom of the gemstone. We did that also with this one here.
Oh, and look at the ring of, is this, can you get in closer and see these stones? I mean, this is just mind-blowing. So the series of small circles, tell me about those.
So what we wanted to do is, it's one of the reasons I do large quartz is because it gives me a larger canvas to do designs onto the gemstone. And this one is a design by Fan Trung, but I took it a little farther by adding these concaves with the Ultratech Fantasy machine, and it allowed me to create these designs and patterns that then come out and be beautiful.
So you have it in the V5, and then when you want to go put these different cuts on the backside, which you're calling fantasy cuts or concave cuts, then you move do you move the stone, or how do you move it to the fantasy machine?
So on the Fantasy machine, I have another mast on there. So I have a mast on both machines. I then take out this stone and the dop, I place it in the other V5 mast, and then I start to have some magic done with the Fantasy machine where I start to put the concaves in, and I like to kind of follow the pattern of the actual design of the gemstone, but sometimes I just get a little crazy and have some fun. And then with this one, you can see I started to concave the lid, I put in the circles, and what's nice about that is the high crown of this gemstone reflects this, and so it only has one circle in it, but you see it many times.
That's so awesome. So this one down here has the same pattern, or I'm seeing the same pattern on.
Yes, that one has a very similar pattern.
It's here, the backside, but is that, how many, with faceting, you could put one mark and it'll show up 16 times or whatever. So without me being able to get behind the barrier, how many actual cuts are on the backside that then I'm seeing those little circles?
You're probably seeing a couple circles, some slices, a dimple in the culet, and I'd say there's probably 60 to 70 fantasy cuts on the back of that gem.
Wow. So very time consuming.
Yes. The stone right now that we're looking at, I would say probably took me 18 hours to cut.
Wow, Mark, these are absolutely fantastic cuts, and I'm so thankful to be able to hang out with you a little bit during this 70th annual Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. One of the things we were talking about earlier, and one of the things I know about you, partly from your Instagram, where you show these are a drop in the bucket from your Instagram, is you teach, but you don't just teach kind of a passing lesson. You really set people up to not only know how to facet, but how to do the business and how to analyze the rough, and you really set them up for success. So first of all, my first question is, Ultratech is of course, the best machine made. Everybody recognizes that, but why would you recommend an Ultratech to a student that's just getting started versus maybe an old jalopy, used machine?
Well, there are many reasons for that. First of all, I believe that they're a good investment because I learned on a 1982 Ultratech machine. So my machine was over 40 years old when I started to learn on it, and it was still cutting a beautiful stone. I then moved to the newer machines, which really gave me the ability to create my art. And I sell the Ultratech machines to my students for really one reason. Our philosophy is that their success is our success. So I need to set them up with a machine that is going to make them successful. Now the nice thing about the Ultratech machine is the accuracy and also the repeatability. When a student starts, they need to build some confidence in what they're doing and cutting the stone. And this machine allows them to progress quickly and repeat their success over and over and over again. They're fantastic, and the other reason is the customer support that Ultratech provides. They stand behind their machine. It's an amazing warranty that they have on that, and when they get the machine, they call me for questions, but they can call Ultratech anytime and get support from them, and I've never seen a company that provides better customer support than Ultratech.
Now you also teach on the Fantasy machine, isn't that right?
Yes, I do. So we do a flat faceting 4-day class. We also do a 2-day fantasy machine. And I have to say the fantasy classes are my favorite because that allows the student to use the machine and become very creative. The fantasy machine, I don't think I've even tapped the amount of creativity that I can produce out of that machine. I can't wait to get home and start cutting again on that fantasy machine. I've gotten tons of ideas why I'm here, and if I could go home tomorrow and start cutting, I would.
And then you, so you can set up the students with a V5, a fantasy machine, you know, a great syllabus that leads to their success. And I can echo what you were saying, that I've known people that have used a cheap imported machine or an old hand-me-down machine, and they sometimes, not always, but sometimes thought, I just don't like faceting. This isn't that fun. And for all those of us that are old enough to have had an old car and then buy their first new car,
right.
That's kind of the feeling that I got. I remember getting my very first new car. It was the year 2000. It had air conditioning, and that was kind of a new thing for me. And that's the same feeling, because I learned on an old machines at a club, and when I got that digital machine in, I was just blown away by just that you don't have to look at every little thing.
Yeah, and that's really one of the nice things about the Ultratech machine is it does have the digital angle display, which you don't find on other machines. And that gives you the ability to see your angle quickly, respond quickly, and what we do is we give the lesson and then we help them pick out the right machine for them. They have the V5, the VL, the GLASS TEC, and the Fantasy machine. We help them choose them, we help them pick out the right laps, which Ultratech sells, and they have a series of tools that you can add to your machine so that you can actually start to cut stones like this fairly quickly.
Now the GLASS TEC is the 12-inch lap, as opposed to the others that have an 8-inch. So we're talking about faceting. Now, do you facet some of your gemstones on the GLASS TEC?
Yes.
Because you do. You show me just with your hands.
Well, I've done a piece of obsidian about this big.
So that's a pomelo.
Yeah, and we've done that on the GLASS TEC because it gives us the ability to have the bigger lap. Again, the accuracy is unbelievable. The repeatability is there. You can facet on any of the Ultratech machines and show them, stones from any of them, show them to a jeweler, and they can't tell the difference. Each of the machine creates a precision gemstone.
And then the VL is more of a kind of an econo model. It's designed to be a little bit less expensive for folks to get into it.
It's a little less expensive. We have one of them at our studio so that we can teach on it. And it's a good entry-level machine. It, again, facets as well as the V5. But for folks that are trying to conserve a little bit of money to get into this hobby or business, it's a perfect machine to start.
And now the VL can be used with the Fantasy machine. That's a new technological development.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, now I got to ask the big question. Glue or wax?
Both.
He's treading the middle of the road right here.
Whatever works is good. I go more towards the glue side, but I have to really appreciate the people that have mastered the wax. That's an art.
Yeah, and for hundreds of years. Yeah. So Mark Oros of Hash New Gems, check out his Instagram, and if you need a machine, if you need a great lesson, hit him up. He's in upstate New York. Thanks a million, Mark. I appreciate talking to you.
Thank you for the compliments. Have a good day.
Take it easy.